Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
That is fire. Whoa, that's good.
This might be the drink of the summer.
Okay, I like this one too. I'm rocking with it. Okay.
Try it for yourself. Starbucks Refreshers Concentrates are coming home. Find them in the coffee aisle and make it yours.
Welcome to the Survival with Basic Badass podcast. Now, Kevin tells us it's a swap cast.
That's right, it's a swap cast.
So
today.
what we did today is we got together with Chris from The Beard Show, and he basically, we did some kind of interview, give you a little insight into the badasses, a little bit of where we come from and why we prepare, and also a little bit insight into The Beard Show. Chris gives some insights into Nashville and
living in Washington and
Washington State. I think we even talk about killing pigs.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, a little bit different for us. Why don't you guys sit back, grab a whiskey, beer, something that you enjoy drinking, maybe a spot of tea. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go.
Well, guys, welcome back to The Beard Show. I've got two special guests on with me today. They are the hosts of the Survival and Basic Badass podcast. Chuck and Kevin, if you guys want to introduce yourselves to the crowd, and then we'll go from there.
All right, so I'm Chuck. I'm the handsome one. And then...
Yeah, I'm Kevin. I'm the more handsome one, also known as Steve. Some guy was actually calling me Steve all day today at work, so, I mean, it kind of fits.
There you go. That's crazy. Like, it's a premonition of what was going to happen tonight on my show here. So you guys run a podcast that focuses on prepping and kind of, I mean, a lot of it's on prepping, but a lot of it is just, you know, kind of I think the way that a lot of us just live our lives, right? I mean, understanding what it is to be self-sufficient. And then also, I've heard you guys talk about guns, and you give away gun parts and that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to just give a little bit of the flavor of what you guys have in your podcast and what how you guys got started in that.
Yeah, this is Kevin. I think that both of us have always been kind of suspicious of the government in particular. We're kind of crazy people, you know. But I found myself during a snowstorm a couple of years ago with the power out and no heat and no way to actually leave the house, and realized that I was woefully unprepared to just any kind of basic emergency. I wasn't ready for it. So a lot of it just has to do with keeping yourself out of those bad situations, keeping yourself from getting into a situation where you find yourself screwed, you know?
And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I've listened to your podcast all the time. You guys are in the Northeast, like way up there in snow country, correct?
Yeah, we're kind of in the mountains here in the Catskills, and it's not unusual to get a fairly big blizzard where you're kind of homebound for a day or two.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sound that bad. That sounds horrible. Like, we're not Maine, but yeah. And yeah, so this is Chuck. I think too, like, I kind of got into it with, I don't know, when I was in the Navy, I was a million years ago when we were bombing Kosovo, and it's, you know, former Yugoslavia, and basically it was the whole Muslim thing since back then where, you know, they were killing the Kurds or whatever, and they would basically roll into the towns, say, pack up all your crap. They'd shoot all the men, rape the women, and say, "Oh, you guys got to leave," and they'd head off to the next village, and then they'd show up a week later, and the same thing had happened over and over again. And just you kind of read through history and see how things are, and I guess you just never want to be defenseless. You never want to be unprepared for whatever comes. And as much as guns and all that are cool, the flip side too is you don't want to be where you're desperate trying to feed your babies. They can just wait you out if you haven't got your shit together. So it all kind of goes hand in hand, and standing up to tyranny is, I guess, what pushed me. But the flip side too, it's the Survival and Basic Badass podcast. Yeah. So I think guns, alcohol, all that stuff, it's just a natural fit, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think that's, part of when I started my podcast was talking about the trials and tribulations of being a real man today. I mean, the pussification of men has been happening for so many years. I mean, I meet so many people, especially when I lived in Washington State, where, they're not... They're not men anymore. You know what I mean? They're kind of pussified. And, guns are bad, and you have to wear skinny jeans, and you have to believe that every woman is right no matter what she says. So
I'm married to that woman. Yeah, I think I think a lot of that sort of basic man skill stuff is lost. You have to be able to teach your kid how to roll a joint and how to hotwire a car.
Absolutely.
Is that right? I don't. I'm not sure that's accurate.
I believe that one or both of you have killed at least half of that side of the population. So just keep going, guys. Just tell them the most worthless information to see who survives. Right? It's like pulling the warning label off. Right? We'll make it.
That does sound right. I think Kevin is more responsible for the killing.
Yeah.
Well, the way the attacks went, I don't know.
Yeah. The way I see it, yeah. If you're dumb enough to follow some of the shit that I say, we kind of got to weed you out of the gene pool.
Absolutely. If we don't, we end up with idiocracy, which we're not far from at this point in our lives. So.
No, it doesn't seem far away at all.
So. Both of you guys, and just listening to your podcast, both of you guys were in the Navy. Did you guys meet in the Navy?
No, actually, we knew each other beforehand. He was in for a few years before I got in.
Yeah.
But we were stationed in the same area for a year or so, but we were never
both
actually...
in Norfolk. Kevin wasn't at Naval Station Norfolk, but in Little Creek, which is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Yeah, we used to kick it and play with, old Camaros and Mustangs and things there. And, Chuck was always getting in trouble for having old broke-down 1960s Camaros in his front yard.
I did get tickets. I don't know. But Kevin had broken cars, and then I fixed broken cars. Or more like Kevin likes to crash cars. And I'm stuck fixing cars, something like that.
Nice. So you're the handier one, and then Kevin's over there like, hey, so I broke this one again.
Yeah. Chuck fixes things, and I just like to drive fast.
He likes to break things.
It's like the perfect combo, right?
Well, for Kevin, it works out. It's not so great for Chuck, who's always just, underneath a car with a wrench trying to get the quarter panels fit back on.
So you guys have been friends since prior to the Navy. Did you guys join the Navy right out of high school, or did you guys both do something prior to joining?
No, I think no, I was a carpenter for a little while beforehand. And
a little while after
that, yeah. Chuck, I think you were...
I was 21.
21 when you joined
the Navy. So a little bit. I was a janitor at a college for a little while. I worked at some water treatment plants, which is now Kevin's claim to fame. And then, then the Navy, and then, I don't know. now I fix stuff. So
No,
works out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, why the podcast, guys? What made you guys decide? I mean, obviously you were thinking about the prepping and probably prepping as you were getting towards it, but why did you guys decide to start the podcast and go down that road?
Kevin's pointing at me, so that doesn't work in a podcast. So basically, I approached Kevin. I was like, but basically, I had I don't know, I was doing some like online marketing and crap like that pretty unsuccessfully. And I was like, well, we could really get people to, pay attention to whatever if we had a podcast, because nobody's doing that. And obviously there's a lot of podcasts and whatever. Yeah. But I was like, we could do that. And nobody's talking about survival and whatever. So here we are. And I was like, you like going camping and all that crap, and you got stores of crap in your basement and whatever. So here we are.
I always joke that Chuck is the one with the ammo buried in the yard, and I'm the one that's good at dick and fart jokes. So,
so we have that.
Somebody's got to be good at the jokes, guys. Somebody's got to be good at the jokes. And I don't claim to have any ammo buried in the yard, but, it could happen.
Well, you shouldn't claim. You shouldn't talk about it.
Nobody claims that.
That's really the dumb thing that we're doing here, is that we're both a little bit of preppers, and then we have a worldwide show. I guess it's not just nationwide. We get downloads in China and Saudi Arabia.
Communist China, right?
Right.
So.
Right. I'm a little bit suspicious about that. We get about 97 downloads every episode in Beijing, and I'm a little bit suspicious that it's not necessarily people wanting to learn about survival. But
I'm pretty fascinating. I don't know why you keep fighting it.
But I think it's kind of dumb to tell everybody about exactly what you're doing. We always preach against that, even though that's exactly what we're doing.
Exactly what we do. Well, we only tell them half.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, and we kill a lot of them, or you guys kill a lot of them.
There you go. Maybe that's why Kevin's killing everybody off. He's like, we got to sit him out.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about doing some remodeling in my house, so I built a false wall, and I filled it with unregistered guns and counterfeit currency and kidnapping victims. I figured that should get the ATF and the Secret Service and everybody over here to bust things up for me and save a little bit of money on the remodel.
Right.
And I've been burying guns and ammo underneath my pond for years. So if they want to come look,
that pond is a little too shallow, so get somebody to dig it up for us.
That's awesome, guys. I love that. So I have when I started listening to your guys' podcast, like I actually learned about it from a bartender, because I frequent the one and only bar in my county.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about podcasts and whatnot, and she brought up your guys' podcast, and I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. I'd like to see what these guys have to say. And, I didn't really, she told me it was the Basic Badass podcast, and I thought, who doesn't like the Basic Badass, right? You got to listen to that.
That's what we thought.
Yeah. And then when I started listening, you guys started talking about prepping, and that brings up the topic of, like, people always think people who are preparing for some sort of a disaster or some sort of, it's always the apocalypse, right? That's the whole thing. Like, you're prepping for the apocalypse. But in the end, I don't think that's what I prepare for. Like, to me, it's like what you were talking about, you get snowed in for 2-3 days. And
right.
I live here in Tennessee, and I could tell you, if there's even an inclination that it might snow, you can't buy anything at the grocery store. Forget it. It's done. Like, it's, a quarter inch of snow, and this entire town is sold out in every grocery store, and nobody will drive anywhere. So it's
nice.
That to me is why you prep, right? It's not because I think the apocalypse is coming. Now, I may or may not have enough ammo to, take out a handful of people, because it would be entertaining. But at the same time, like, that's why I prep. So, if you guys want to talk a little bit about, the things when you're looking at prepping, what it is that you guys start with, and why it is that you start that way.
So, kind of with what you just said, it's been cool because, we don't know how much this stuff applies to people and whatever, and you hope that you're not just talking into the air for the hell of it. But we've had people who were in Puerto Rico when the hurricane came and are like, oh, I was the only guy who had freaking, 3 weeks worth of food. And we had guys, in the hurricane in North Carolina, more recently, guys in Florida with hurricanes. A guy with a tornado was like, oh, well, I had stuff and my neighbors needed it. So it's pretty awesome to, get some feedback and like, oh, but this stuff really does happen. It's like bad things can happen and where you're screwed, like you said, for a week or whatever. So one of the things, the getting started idea, we really push, as a bare minimum, have 2 weeks worth of food in your house, like you said. So when you get screwed at the snowstorm or whatever, it's always, oh, there's a bad storm coming and now they don't have any water at the, stores and the, all that stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you don't want to get screwed left holding the bag, So, really 2 weeks of food. The one thing I did more recently that I think I probably should have done earlier is I basically set up a get-home bag in my wife's car. And, I have stuff in my own car, whatever. But, I was like, oh, I finally went out. Like, she doesn't have a concealed carry. So I went out and got her, some cans of mace or whatever, pepper spray, whatever it is we're allowed to have in New York. I don't know. And put it in the bag, threw one in her purse. And I'm like, with Antifa freaking, setting up roadblocks and shit. Then, you never know. But I put just basic stuff to get home where, if you're walking, do you have an extra sweatshirt in the car? Do you have some water? Do you have, it has some water purification tablets, the basic stuff that, I say basic, but it really sucks if you got to walk home for 2 days and,
and it's 30 degrees out, and all you have is the T-shirt that you put on when you ran out to the car.
Yeah, exactly. Or, and I work in an industry, guys, where I work in the pump business, and I work around turds all the time. So I always carry a bag with a spare set of clothes and 2 pairs of socks because, if you learn anything from Vietnam films, it's change your damn socks, right? So,
right.
You don't think about that stuff, but I remember I lived in Washington State, and it snowed in the Seattle area where I lived, and it doesn't snow there very often, and when it does, it kind of shuts everything down, and a friend of mine lived further away than I did, and it took him 9.5 hours to get home because people were just parking their cars in the middle of the freeway and just abandoning them. And over a little bit of snow, and people didn't get home for days. Hotels were sold out for days. And the snow lasted all of 4 hours of snow and then maybe another 24 hours on the ground, and then it all melted, and then it was up to the tow truck drivers to get rid of everybody's car. But in those situations, you need that bag, a spare set of clothes, a warm jacket, a couple bottles of water, just some basic stuff that, we all kind of take for granted. And, I think that's smart that you did it for your wife, too, because, they expect us to kind of do that stuff.
That's it. They don't want to hear about it, and they don't want to know nothing. But when it goes bad and you didn't handle their shit, then it ends bad.
Yeah.
Why am I stuck
it always shocks me. It always shocks me how few people know how to change a tire or have jumper cables in their car.
Oh.
And that's something I kind of run through with my wife and kid. Just go out there and change the tire and then, change it back. Just so they know how to do it. Having your family just have a basic idea of how to handle a small emergency that could really become a big emergency if they don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
Even just now in North Carolina, where they had this the snow out in in Asheville, and they were saying 12 hours people were stuck in their cars, and they were caught on the thruway. That's insane. But you figure 12 hours, you're maybe running out of gas at that point, sitting there. You probably are. And, you don't have sleeping bags. You got your whiny kids, whining, oh, I'm thirsty. I haven't eaten anything. In your mind, you're like, well, I can go 12 hours without eating. And, yeah, I'm sure you could. But how much, a little preparation, how much better could your life be? And it really sucks when you're freezing, though, and the car doesn't run,
Yeah. Oh, it was, Katrina, and it took them, 7 days to get water during the Katrina? I mean, water is one of those things that, I'm always switching water and changing water and storing water. And that's one thing that, a lot of my friends are like, why do you do this? I'm like, because if something were to happen, if we had a big hurricane that came up, or if we had a tornado that came through, that's going to be the most valued commodity around. I could trade water for food. I could trade water for whatever I needed to, and make sure that I don't die because, you can't go without water more than, like a couple of days?
Yeah. And a lot of that, a lot of people think of, oh, I've got a gallon of water, and that's good. You're not gonna die over a couple of days, but you still got to wash your ass. You still got to, you still have other things you want to do with water. Yep. So having 5 or 10 gallons of water in your house, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, anybody that's ever gone camping, like real camping, or you're up in the woods and in a tent, and you don't have a stream or you don't have a lake near you, and everything that you do, it depends on the water you have. It's like, oh, we got to wash dishes. Well, you don't let that water run. You got to, use a little bit of it, get wet, and wash what you have. But you really start to think about that when you in those scenarios, and you're like, shit, we've been here for 2 days and we're out of water. Like we brought 10 gallons with us and we're out of water.
Right. And I always have that, you have that problem when you bring a couple of bottles of whiskey with you. You end up drinking a lot more water than you think. You wake up with that hangover and you're like, where's the water? Oh, all we got is whiskey. Yeah. You might as well start drinking again. It leads to trouble.
Game on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try and do at least once a year, go out with the family for a week out in the woods to just make sure all the gears together, and try and do 3 or 4 major trips out with the friends. Do some hiking and things like that. Just to and another thing that I want to talk about more in the show is just being physically able to do a lot of this shit. A lot of people think, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll just, hop out of my car. My job is only 15 miles from my house, but can you actually go 15 miles?
Yeah.
You know, how long is that 15 miles going to take you?
Yeah, I have a trail right across the street from my house, and I walk the dog down the trail or jog down the trail, and it's about 2.5 miles, and, I'm not in perfect physical shape, but, you run 2.5 miles or jog 2.5 miles, it's a long ways. So when you start looking at 15, 20, 30 miles to get to where you got to go, that's a long hike. And, is it going to take you more than one day? Like, how much can you really walk in a day? People are like, oh, I can walk 15 miles, but you can't do it in a straight stretch. You're going to walk maybe 3 or 4, and you're going to need to take a break. And then you're going to be able to, try to do it again. And eventually, your feet are going to be sore, and you're going to be thirsty, and you're going to be cold, or you're going to be hot if it's it's a hot day or whatever. So you got to think about those things when you prepare that little kit for your bag, for your vehicles. And then
that's it. And once you're like really walking, like if you've been out hiking and that kind of thing, you realize how much you want that bottled water or whatever. It's like, oh, I really need water, and it makes a difference. I just did a hike with the wife, and I don't know, I'm a little more used to outdoing things, but it was basically a 5-mile hike, and you're going up a mountain, 2.5 miles up, 2.5 miles down. But it was a pretty, it was a trail. Like, you're not, putting your hands on rocks or anything, but you're walking up a steep hill the whole way. And everybody along the way is like, oh, my God, I need water, like, falling down, and this is horrible. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But you don't realize how quick your body's like, oh, it's one thing when you're sitting at the desk or whatever all day. You can go 6 hours without, having some water. But when you're actually breathing and doing something, it starts to take a toll.
Yeah, absolutely. Your physical fitness is something that I'm constantly talking to my friends about. You know, and I have a lot of friends that I've met here in Tennessee, and, you know, they think they're all badasses, but that moment you take them out on that mile hike that you're going to go up a hill and down a hill and up 2 more hills, and, you know, you get to the end of it, and they're ready to die, you know, and you're like, yeah, like, you're not physically fit. Like, you may think you're a badass, but life just really grabbed you by the nuts, and you're game over, you know, and you brought 4 bottles of water with you, and next thing you know, they're like, man, I drank all my water. I'm like, we're like half into it. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So one of the things.
Now I wanted to ask you about the beard game. Now you got the show named after the beard.
Sure.
And I've only listened to the podcasts. Now, do you legit have a beard?
Oh,
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So growing up, my dad, my stepdad, always had a really big beard, you know, really long, and it was badass. He's a biker, like straight up, like biker. I mean, when my mom first started dating him, we went to his house for the first time, and he didn't have a couch in his living room, but he had a motorcycle tore apart in his living room. So that's what kind of biker he is, you know. And he had this big, glorious beard my whole life growing up. And when I got out of high school and started, I did a little college. I didn't finish college because I'm horrible at school. That I got into a corporate world, and you know, you weren't allowed to have it. And then I started this job that I currently work at about 5 years ago, and I came in like freshly shaven because it's a corporate job, and I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to let it grow and just see what happens. And I just let it grow and let it grow and let it grow. Nobody ever said a word. Nobody ever bitched. And then about a year later, the vice president of the company and I were having a conversation, and he was like, man, your beard is just glorious. And I was like, it's it. It's never, ever going away.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started growing mine about 5 years ago, just as a thing to see, you know, see what's what. And yeah, it turns out that everybody likes it. So I'm not gonna.
Nobody complains about the beard, you know.
There's a big...
I don't know. I was in somebody's house doing a repair, and I'm with another guy, and the guy's a little more squared away than I am, and I got the big beard, whatever. So I'm doing a repair, and this kid's just standing terrified in the corner, you know, and he's a little like 5-year-old or something, I don't know. And so the guy I'm with is like, what's the deal? Are you afraid of his beard? Is he scary? And the kid goes, no, he looks like Santa. He goes, it's you I'm afraid of. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, the serial killers, psychopaths, they never have a beard. They're always clean shaven.
That's right.
You can't trust somebody without a beard.
That's my motto right now. Yeah. Well, and I've realized the older I get, the more the wisdom starts growing into my beard. You know, the gray wisdom that grows into it. So I'm really looking forward to the day that it's just full wisdom. You know, I'm gonna go full wizard at that point. I think. Like,
yeah, I mean, what else can you do at that point?
You're the victim.
I'm not. It's not going away. Like I said, you know, I think at this point, if my bosses told me I had to trim it back, I think I'd find a new job.
Oh, that's trouble. Well, that was the thing. Like where I am now, the boss is like, oh, you need to get a concealed carry. This is, like 8-10 years ago. You need to go get a handgun. I think that's only right. And I'm like, oh, all right, that sounds good. And then, oh, you should grow a beard. Oh, you should get more tattoos. I'm like, all right, I guess.
That's the boss
you want. That's the kind of boss you want to have.
That sounds like trouble.
Yeah, I would say when I worked in Washington, like I've had a concealed carry. God, I can't remember how long. I need to change it to the Tennessee concealed carry because now that I have a Tennessee driver's license, apparently my concealed is only good for like another month here. But when I was in Washington, like nobody talked about it. If you had a gun, it was totally private. Nobody knew about it. But here, it's like all the guys at the branch, they all have a gun in their truck or on their hip or whatever. It's just normal. And if you don't have one, you're kind of like shunned. Like, why do you?
You're the outcast.
You don't have a gun.
Yeah, no, in New York, we're definitely the outcast with the gun. But it's weird when you go to we're stupid here where our concealed carry card, you end up having you have to have each gun listed on your card.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. So when you go buy a handgun, you have to take the receipt over to the sheriff's office, then freaking they'll, I don't know, enter it in their thing. And now they just started this jackass thing where the judge has to approve it. So basically they take it, you wait 3 or 4 weeks, then the judge approves it, even though you already have 4 or 5 or 16 other handguns, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you can come back, pick up a coupon to go take to the gun dealer, and then he gives you your handgun that you already paid for 2 months ago or whatever.
God, that's worse
we're
than
a little
tax
bitter with
stamp.
that. Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. So anyway, thing is, though, when you go in, it's always like housewives and whatever you see in there in line, getting their gun thing. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. There are other people out there. I'm not the only one,
So when you guys get your concealed there in New York, do they make you take a class or anything, or is it just a fingerprinting and a fee?
They do now. They didn't when I first got it, which I'm not opposed to that.
I'm not either.
I just went and did it now because I got a Virginia non-resident and a Utah non-resident, and so I went to like the local gun dealer that does the New York one, and they did the class basically to make everybody's thing happy. But basically 7-8 years ago, whenever I did it the first time, they didn't care and it was whatever. But it does piss me off to list in all your guns because, that doesn't sound like that could end badly, right?
Right, yeah. Like, I have guns that are previous, handguns that were previous to, anybody having to register a handgun that were passed down from families to families, And I don't carry them, but if I wanted to, like, I shouldn't have to list them, They don't need to know what I have, and I don't know what the laws are in New York, but I've built a lot of 80% lower AR-15s over my lifetime, and there's no way. Like, I would never want to list that. I mean, if they had to make me list them, I think I'd tear them apart and be like, they don't exist. Like,
right.
Maybe
So,
part here, part there.
New York, we have a fun set of laws where they make no sense. So we have the SAFE Act where basically if your gun is black, then it'll frighten people and it's an assault weapon.
Yeah.
So basically, I think their definition is if it has a pistol grip. So initially, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm not going to register my guns. How dare you? Blah blah blah." But all those people kind of screwed themselves. I only wished I was more into AR-15s prior to the SAFE Act, because if I had registered every freaking one, it would have been awesome. So what happened is I just had one AR-15 and some kind of like Remington 587 or something, some 22 that has a pistol grip.
Yeah.
And it looks a little bit scary, but it's actually, it's my kind of go-to gun for, woodchucks and whatever in the yard or whatever, it's just
squirrel
works.
hunting machine.
It just is nice, it works, it's accurate, it's whatever. But, so I have one registered assault weapon, right, AR-15, and I have this 22. Now, had I been the smart guy, I would have had, 10 AR-15 lowers and registered all of them. So now what happens, I can walk into the gun store, I can buy an AR-15 lower, or 10, if that's what I do, and then I can go online and I can buy all the parts to complete the gun, to make a complete AR-15, have them sent to my house in New York, and that's 100% legal. Then I can even put the lower, put the trigger in it, put the stock on it, put the pistol grip on it. I just have to keep the lower and the upper separated with the stupid pins.
Yeah.
And as long as it's separated and the upper is a separate piece, it's 100% legal in New York. But as soon as I clip it together, then all of a sudden it's an assault weapon and I'm committing a felony.
It's a felony to do it in New York.
Yeah, in New York, to have an unregistered assault weapon. So what happens is I have one lower, and a whole bunch of uppers that I swap back and forth on it to set up different things. And I'm like, well, go out and do this. And yeah, so it's kind of a disturbing setup. And now I'm not sure. The only problem is New York has you by the balls, where the only thing is all the AR-15 lowers I have, technically, as long as I'm a New York resident, I can't sell them unless I go through an FFL dealer.
Sure.
So I can't be like, oh, I got rid of all those.
Yeah.
Now, but as soon as I move to another state, then, it's all fair game. But
can you sell
the other
them across
thing,
state lines, or do you still have to do that because
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
I don't know. I know I can't sell it like through the gun, away, but I could probably take it to North Carolina or something and sell it to a private citizen and whatever. But I think I'd have a hard time convincing New York of that, we used to have the badass sheriff who, had our back and was like, oh, when they come to get your guns. And then this last election in November just now, they freaking booted him out. And, he was always praised by the NRA. And, everybody who has a concealed carry should carry and be awesome. And now he's gone because, I don't know, they don't like him anymore because he basically stood up for the NRA, and that was it.
Yeah.
As far as 80% lowers, they're actually still legal in New York. I can buy them and whatever. And as long as I made that into a New York compliant gun where I never put an upper on it, I'm completely legal. So obviously if somebody comes knocking on my door and is like, oh, you have these 5 guns, they're going to get a bunch of lowers with no trigger in it and no nothing. And you go. You can have my guns.
Yep. So do you guys have magazine capacity laws as well?
Yeah, we're screwed there too, and that I haven't figured out yet. Because they first said 7 rounds, and then they were like, all right, we decided that 7 rounds is unconstitutional. You can have 10 rounds because that somehow fits,
Because the Constitution limits you to 10 rounds. Yeah.
So 10 rounds, and and you're not allowed, any magazines you had to, turn in or whatever. Supposedly, if they were antiques, you could register them. I don't know. I didn't cash in on any of that, so I'm the jackass and whatever. But
that may or may not be under the pond.
There you go. That's exactly. And then the other thing I can't figure out, you can't buy a binary trigger in New York. However, there may be a local gun store where I go in and they're like, oh, no problem. So you maybe can have a binary trigger where, you get in that, it shoots when you pull the trigger and shoots when you release the trigger.
Yeah.
So it basically, you maybe can have that, but then you can only put 10 rounds in there. And I'm going to tell you, if by chance somebody had one of those triggers, you can burn through 10 rounds like you wouldn't believe.
You get really good at mag changes, though.
I guess and then that's the next thing. You buy a vest and you have the large or if you only have 10 round magazines, you can't get them out of the vest.
Right.
You put them in and you're like, so I had to buy a bunch of these idiot ones that are 10 round but are the big, 30 round size banana clip freaking looking thing.
It's got an oversized spring in it, so you can't get enough ammo.
Exactly, to accommodate how stupid I am. But so there's that. I heard in California they said that in one of the federal district courts that 10 rounds was unconstitutional, and they were bumping up to 30, and I'm waiting for that to catch on in New York, but apparently no. Apparently I'm the only one waiting for that.
I seen something on Facebook or something, one of the guys that owns a whiskey company I follow posted something about in New Jersey now 30-round mags are illegal, and if you have them as of the first of the year or something like that, you're now a class 4 felon.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
for possessing them. Yeah.
But New Jersey, I won't even, when I leave New York, I don't even drive through New Jersey anymore because I've heard stories of them. They run your plate, and that guy has a concealed carry. Let me just pull him over and find out if he has it with him. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I don't want any part of that. It's illegal to have hollow points in New Jersey. I don't know. At least these are the stories I'm told. I don't know. I don't live there, so don't hold me on that one. But I'm 99% sure.
That's crazy. Like, see, there's another reason why I moved to Tennessee from Washington State. It's so interesting to me in Washington State is that Seattle is very anti-gun, and that's what everybody thinks of when they think of Washington State is Seattle.
Right.
It's very rainy. It's very anti-gun. You get across that little mountain range there, and all of a sudden it's like normal people. And it's, if you don't own a gun in the town I lived in, you were kind of shunned. You were like, what do you mean you don't own a gun? Like, everyone owns a gun. I mean, we all hunt. We all do all that kind of stuff. And it's so different from Seattle. And yet, whenever you get outside of the state, I mean, when I tell people I lived in Washington, they're like, oh, from Seattle? I'm like, no, I don't associate me with Seattle. Like, it's so retarded.
I mean, we're stuck with, you're from New York. Obviously, you live in the city. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no other part of New York. Actually, I've spent quite a bit of time in upstate. I guess I don't know where it is, but in Auburn and Syracuse, some of those other places in New York, which are awesome, right. And I love them.
Well, that's more upstate than we are. So you're getting the more snow up there than we are. We're about 90 minutes north of the city. But pretty much, we figure if you get on the thruway, we're upstate after that. You go 5 miles north of the city, and you're upstate after that.
Yeah. Once you're outside the city, it's all upstate, right?
That's right.
So,
yep. Now, how long have you been doing this podcast? I've listened to a couple of your episodes here, but it seems like you just got started in the last year or so, huh?
Yeah, I started in April. I actually, when I first started the podcast, we started it as the Beard and the Bear Show. A buddy of mine, Jess, was originally a part of the podcast with me, and then his career kind of took off, and he lives in Washington State, and so he was unable to get on very many of the podcasts, and so now we've deemed him Gay Jess because he's no longer a part of the podcast, and he does come on from time to time, but I kind of rebranded it and had to refocus, and I started in April, but I only have 19, 20 episodes out there just because I was kind of waiting for Jess to be available to do interviews, plus do, with the interviewee and all that stuff, and I finally said, screw it, I'm not waiting for him, I'm just going to do something, and then I just rebranded it about 2 months ago, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was just... honestly, I started doing this podcast because I've been a salesman for 20 years now, and I'm building a program and a process to do sales. And I thought, I should really learn to do podcasting so that if this program I'm building ever takes off, I can know what I'm doing out the gate on that. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. It's fun. It gives us something to do. And I do a lot of remote podcasts. I will go to a brewery or go to an event and do podcasting there. I just have to remember to drink less whiskey, so I remember to hit the buttons to actually record and some of those other things.
Yeah, that's awkward at the end, right?
Yeah, it's really tough when you're sitting at a concert trying to record a podcast and the concert's louder than the microphones, and but it's a learning process.
Yeah. I think we've done one or two podcasts that weren't recorded at all. We got to the end of it, we're like, oh, shit.
That or I look down and I'm like, well, my mic's turned on. Your mic's not so much,
Yeah, I listened to, they used to be the Psycho Radio. I don't remember what the hell they rebranded it to, but they work for Silencer Co., and they just released one. The same thing where, one guy's in Florida and the other guy's in Utah, and they forgot, so they recorded it a second time, and it was a really quick podcast because they'd already had the conversation. They were trying to rehab the same conversation.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. We had one a couple of weeks ago that Kevin's mic was rough for the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, that was gold. I'm not freaking redoing it. And I ended up, having to, I cut my mic back a lot and jacked his all the way up after, in the editing. And it's a little rough, but, whatever. Sometimes that's how it goes, right?
Yeah. We're not Joe Rogans yet. You know what I mean? We're going to go through the learning curves until we can afford to put a producer on it who actually, then we can blame him and fire him, right?
There you go. That sounds right.
Yep.
Now, how do you monetize your podcast at all? Do you have Patreon or something you do, or?
No, I haven't monetized it. It's all self-funded at this point. I have had a couple people reach out for sponsorships, mostly beard oil companies and stuff like that, because I own the website, thebeardshow.com. And
right.
So they've reached out and want to sponsor me, but I had one that was only sold products in Alaska, and I was like, that's great, but I have kind of a worldwide audience, so why would I want to just have a product that you only sell in Alaska? If you're going to release at least nationwide shipping, then I would consider it. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. I was like, sure, send me some money.
Yeah, well, I've had local gun shops talk to me about sponsoring it, and I'm like, well, do you do internet sales? And they're like, no, not really. And I was like, well, I might be able to talk two people into coming in there, but people aren't going to be driving from Alabama up here to buy guns. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. And what I do, when we do remote podcasts, so if we go to a brewery or something like that, I'll make them pick up my tab for the night or something, and then I'll mention them on the podcast or something like that. But I haven't felt comfortable, unless they are, a nationwide or a minimum nationwide distribution facility and sell online or something like that. It just doesn't make sense for me to take their money yet. So I'm still kind of looking for that. I kind of figured if I got to, over a consistent 1,000 downloads a month, I would really start focusing on that. But
yeah,
it's just not high priority for me. I enjoy it and I have fun with it, and I just do such a broad range of topics. I mean, it went from, we talked to business owners. I've talked to guns. I talked about guns. We talked about beer. We've talked about polyamory. We've talked about all these crazy things, and it's it's hard for me to go to a sponsor and be like, yeah, okay, well, you could sponsor this episode, but you probably don't want to sponsor this other one. We may be talking about porn or something. Who knows? I mean, if I get a porn star on the show, I'm in.
Right. No, that was one of our things. People are like, oh, if you want to make money, you need to, do Audible and, GoDaddy and all these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you're kind of missing my audience. It's like, it's just, I don't mind selling you on, we have Tac Pack as a sponsor, but they do gun parts, I'm like, that's my audience. That works because the guys who are listening to the audience kind of care. They're like, oh, I like guns. I want cool gun shit sent to my house every month,
Yeah,
that works. But it's like, oh, are you into, web design or whatever? And I mean, I'm sure 1 in 30 might be, but if they are, they probably already know, it's not.
Yep. Yeah, you definitely have to find the right fit. I mean, I would like to sponsor, or get a sponsor that did a beard product that was, but on the other side of that, I don't know if you guys do, but I definitely use products in my beard. I use oils and I use butters and stuff like that to keep that glorious look to it. But
the glorious look.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's got to be, the right product that I have to believe in the product. Because that's the other thing about me. I would never want to promote a product that I didn't believe in, or that I didn't use. I don't want some toothbrush sponsor that I don't use their toothbrush because their toothbrush sucks. Why would I want to push that on my audience? So I just haven't found the right fit. But yeah, it's not high on my priority list. I make plenty of money doing my day job, and it only takes about 4 hours a day to do. So, whatever.
And you can't argue that.
Right?
Yeah. I think I think a lot of that really has to do with you make a connection to the people that are listening to the show.
That's it. You feel like you betray it if you
start selling some bullshit.
Yes, exactly.
So we've stuck stuck pretty much to commercial free. We try and get people to sponsor us on Patreon and things like that. If you listen to the show and you enjoy the show, but for the most part, it's really just something we enjoy doing.
Yeah. So when you guys, obviously when you started, you had a Facebook and you guys were kind of promoting that. I wasn't there in the beginning, and honestly, I haven't gone back to listen to your earlier episodes, but I know that I want to because you don't ever repeat a topic, and I'm like, I know they've got to have an episode on this. Like, I'm getting ready to plant a garden, and it'll be my first garden.
Right.
I've never gardened before, and I'm like, I know they got to have an episode on this. They're prepping guys. Like, they got to know this. But
right. Well, what's weird is we're at like, I don't know, 107, 156, 157 episodes, something like that. And iTunes drops them after 100.
Really?
So, like, the first 50 were all the obvious topics, and then they just, nothing. They're just gone. I mean, we have them, like, we use Libsyn for hosting.
Sure.
And so they're all there, but iTunes doesn't put them up, and, a lot of them only carry the last 100 episodes. So every once in a while we try and drop an old one, but also, like, maybe our first 20 or 30, the audio quality is a little questionable. We were trying to sort it out,
Yeah.
and didn't know the best ways to do it. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously we try and we want to do some of the old topics and revisit it, and I think we're slowly getting there where we're going to start to do them again because we actually know a lot more about things, and you keep learning whatever. So there is stuff coming, but yeah, I think we bring lots of interesting topics. We try.
No,
yeah, it's hard when you're confined to like prepping and survival and things like that. But the more you read up on things, the more you get into it. There's really a lot of in-depth stuff about some basic topics you can really get into and spread out over several episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have never thought in a million years that we could do 150 unique episodes, on totally different topics. But I think we're pretty much there, It's like it happens.
So I have a question, and I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't gone back on a lot of your old episodes, and obviously I can't go back to the beginning because thank you, iTunes. But
yeah.
Have you guys ever done an episode on community? Because to me, like, this is the reason I live in a small town, because if the worst happened, you're in a small town.
I thought we did one more recently. No,
did we?
Kevin,
I don't recall one recently.
I thought we did something. I'll look at it. And what we do is we've been dropping the occasional, like I'll do an extra episode in the week where we'll do like a classic episode, and then that way people get the older ones. But it still kicks out another one, when you do it.
Sure.
It shoves out something more recent. But I usually like check the audio, and if it's not too crappy. Like we did one just on AR-15s and one just on silencers. And those were like my favorite. And I know the silencers one, the audio is freaking crap. And it's like, what a waste, And
Yeah.
I think we did one on night vision, too, because I was all hot on the trail in night vision for a while there. I was like, this is the game changer in the apocalypse,
Well, I'm an avid pig hunter. I love to shoot pigs in Texas, and only in Texas. I have never hunted pigs anywhere other than Texas. Just, I don't know, I'm from Texas originally, so it's iconic to shoot pigs in Texas. And if you don't have night vision, it's game over. I bought this special scope that was supposed to see good at night. It's got this giant front lens on it. I went out the first night and I was like, this is bullshit. I can't see anything. And so the next night I brought my night vision. I'm like, yeah, golden. I don't even care what this scope can do.
Now you're in. Yeah, exactly. No, it's funny. I actually went and did some gun training in Texas, and so we're moving a body, and they wanted to go through all this stuff, and so we're carrying somebody on a stretcher, and we're running point, and guys are standing in the back with guns and whatever, and I'm standing, and there's people out there screwing with us. So I'm keeping a watch, like watching these roadways, through. We're in San Antonio, and I'm looking at all these trails and trying to watch every direction. And, being from New York, we don't have the wild boar thing going on. And I see like 5 pigs run by, and I'm like, holy shit.
You're lucky you only seen 5 like that. They run in packs of like 80 sometimes, man. They're just crazy.
That's it. I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm like standing there looking for guys, and I'm like, waving around guns and whatever. And I'm like, wait, there's pigs like 10 feet in front of me, a bunch of them.
Yeah, we should shoot them and eat them tonight. Like,
yeah, that's it.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's it. I just think that's it's interesting because it's not, it's a problem in a lot of the country.
Oh yeah.
And it's just not something that we ever have to deal with here in New York.
And yet it's like free bacon just running around.
Just right there.
It's
for the taking.
Yeah, and they're actually really delicious. I mean, if you my opinion is anything between about 100 to a 200-pound pig, which you don't get bacon off of that. Sorry, guys. But those are the best meat. You get a big fat pig, especially a wild pig, they've eaten so much garbage that they're just disgusting. But you get those 100 to 200-pound pigs, oh, man, they're delicious. I sent about 200 pounds of meat home with my brother one time, and it was I happened to go visit him the next year, and we ate a bunch of that hog, and it was delicious. It was amazing. So,
yeah, I think we're missing out up here in the mountains.
I got a local farmer that hooks me up, but no wild boar hunting there. So
we could drop like 10 in the woods, and there'll be like 7,000 next year.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't know.
Well, pigs are not native to Texas. They were introduced to deal with another issue, and then they realized that they have piglets. They have up to 12 piglets every 7 months. So they're constantly pumping out new pigs. So they're like worse than rats in a lot of cases.
Yeah, a lot of people that are anti-hunting, even they have to admit that the pig situation is a bit of a problem down south.
Mm-hmm.
It's they just multiply a lot faster than anybody can do anything about them.
Well, it's like the white-tailed deer up in the Northeast. I mean, the whitetails
we do have that.
They're so excessive up there that they're tearing things up because there's so many of them. I think it was Maryland that was having such a bad issue that they had to release more than like a single tag per person. You could shoot you basically had like a limit like fishing. You could shoot like one a day or a couple a day or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I almost hit 3 or 4 every day on my way into work. It's like squirrels. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a local college, I guess. It's like Vassar College or whatever. I guess one of the 7 sister schools there or something. And they have every year they have the big deer cull there where they shoot like 150 deer on their freaking campus, and they actually just have a sharpshooter come in, and the guy will take the 150 in a weekend. And I don't know what they do with it, but the school's always out in the streets protesting. But it's in Poughkeepsie, which is a reasonably, a big city for, that kind of thing.
Sure.
It's not New York or something, but whatever. But we have you'll be driving down the street and there's deer running across the street all the time, like in a, 25 mile an hour zone with houses and whatever. And you're like, what the hell,
Yeah. It's crazy too. Like the sharpshooter thing blows my mind because, that was one thing I will comment on Washington being really decent at was their hunting laws were decent. Like, you could still shoot cats. You could still shoot bear. You could still shoot just about any animal that you could eat. Yet I was listening to, I think it was Joe Rogan actually, and he was talking about the state spends an excessive amount of money every year to hire professional hunters to kill cougars because the cougars are killing domesticated animals. And I'm thinking, just open it up. Let the hunters do it. The hunters will kill them. And then they'll actually get used for something, versus just killing them and incinerating them.
Yeah. It seems like some of the laws are a little bit arcane. Where they'll limit tags, but then they'll have to hire somebody to come in and just kill them and leave them.
Yep. So I know something that exists here as well as it exists in Washington. I don't know about where you guys are at, but if you own a farm or a ranch, you can kill an excessive amount of deer. Like, so you could, in Washington, it was elk. That was the big one. You could get, depending on the acreage you had, you could get up to like 15 elk tags a year. And if you've ever seen an elk, that's a big animal.
Right.
You kill 15 elk, you could feed the entire neighborhood.
Yeah. Now, we have like nuisance permits. So, yeah, I mean, you can definitely do stuff like that, but it's tough. Like I can shoot a fox in my backyard if it's threatening my livestock, that kind of thing. It's, that, and I have a hunting license or whatever for regular big game, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got a few foxes in my yard, but I've got a wife that adopts animals. So I've got all these fucking cats. So I just let that fox be, man, because he helps me out, He's
got your back on the cat.
He's at least taking 1 or 2 a year, so I'm not complaining about him.
I like the fox. He's all right. I would love to have a fox skin. Like, I've never seen a fox in real. Like, I've shot at cougars. I've never actually hit a cougar. I've shot plenty of coyotes in my life. And coyote's just not a great skin. Like, but I'd love to have like a fox skin. I think that'd be super cool. So if you guys shoot a fox, send a skin my way.
All right, you got it, bud. I mean, they're all over up here. So.
Well, I guess I need to make it. Well, I probably couldn't even get into New York because I don't think any of my magazines qualify.
That's right. Yeah, that's sad. Is what that is. I don't know. I do have the trapping license. We'll see if we can't hook you up someday with a fox here sometime soon. Our problem is we get the foxes, but they're all mangy and nasty, and it's tough to get something good around here. Everything looks like a disaster.
It's lived its life in the city chasing fucking them rats that are like the size of poodles.
Exactly. The city life is hard for the fox,
Well, awesome, you guys. Hey, I really appreciate you guys coming on. We just kind of crested the hour, so I try to keep the podcast right about that hour. So, you guys, it's been a great conversation. We should definitely do this again. But if you want to put out your, obviously your podcast, and we'll tag that in the notes. But any social medias or anything else that you guys want to promote?
Yeah, if you guys, if anyone wants to email us, I try and make it a point that I respond to every email we get. So if you guys want to email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com.
And the Facebook page is facebook.com/preppingbadass. So those are, we're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel that's hit or miss on how much we actually put out. That is Prepping Badass as well. So, no, that's pretty much everywhere we are, and sounds good. And you got the Beard Show, huh? So.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah, and I've been lucky enough that for whatever reason, I was able to get thebeardshow.com. I was able to get Facebook at The Beard Show Podcast and Instagram at The Beard Show Podcast. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm.
Our guys can find you everywhere. You're kind of all over the place as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And guys, we appreciate it again. Thanks so much, and I look forward to doing this again.
All right. Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye.
The Survival and Basic Badass Podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.